Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our first back in-person and virtual conference. We are so thrilled that we finally made it back in person. We do know that some people were a little hesitant, and so we have a great number of people that are joining us virtually, I think from the US, Italy, and Lithuania, the Philippines. So welcome to all of you. We're really thrilled to have you here. I just wanted to say a few short words about who I am. For those of you who don't know me, so I am Teresa Tiano. I am the chair and co-founder of My Gut Feeling. I'm an 11-year stage 2B stomach cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with stage 2B, and for me, stomach cancer changed my life, which anyone who's gone through it will, I'm sure, agree. I also have Lynch syndrome. So Lynch syndrome is a genetic mutation that increases my risk of getting many cancers. And so I am also a 5-time cancer survivor. So I am incredibly grateful to be here. I am incredibly grateful for all of you being here. And I hope we can all learn from each other today and enjoy the day. Katy?
And hi, everyone. My name is Katy. I am also a stomach cancer survivor, 11 years now. At the time, back in 2011, I was only 21 years old. And at that time, there was absolutely nothing for stomach cancer. So a lot of people will ask why we do what we do. And this is exactly it. So we're in a COVID pandemic. There's the FIFA World Cup, and yet still you showed up in person. And what's even more impressive is the people out there. So at this time, we continue to have registrants, and there's more than 100 people joining us virtually. So why do we do what we do? Is so that nobody has to go through stomach cancer alone. So thank you to everyone that's joined us.
So we could not do the work we do without our board of directors. And of course, so Katy and I'm the chair, Katy's the vice chair. Ramin and Ramandeep are caregivers. Emma is also a caregiver, and Lena is a survivor like Katy and I, and Christine Bresden-Masley is a medical oncologist. So one of the things that we always wanted for our board of directors is that everyone was cause-related and understood the journey that a gastric cancer patient goes through. So we are incredibly thankful for them, as we are for our medical advisory board, who I know I drive them crazy with questions that we get from patients, requests for opinions, consultations. And so our medical advisory board is actually across the country. Some of them are here. Melissa Aronson is a senior genetic counselor. Dr. Savbrar, I think he may be watching virtually. Dr. Christine Bresden-Masley, also virtually. Dr. Natalie Coburn is here. Denise, who's our dietitian, and I think I drive her the craziest. She's watching virtually, as is Terrence and Howard and Stephanie Snow. And I'd also like to introduce Lorenzo, who I know is watching virtually, who is our newest member of our medical advisory board, and he is a thoracic surgeon. So we have medical oncologists, surgical oncologists, dietitian and a genetic counselor, and an internal medical doctor who is also a patient. And the pillars of our foundation are support, education, awareness, and advocacy. Support is really the reason we started this foundation, because when Katy and I were going through our journey, there wasn't anything for patients. There was really nowhere to turn. There was no peer-based organization. We tried to reach out online, and after a few tries here and there that people might respond once to, people didn't respond again, and we knew what that meant. And then Katy and I connected, and we became each other's support. And I think in that moment we swore that that was the thing that we wanted to do the most, was to support patients going through the journey, no matter what stage they were at or when they joined our organization. Support, as I said, support is the heart of our foundation. We hold monthly meetings virtually. We've been doing them actually since we began, so they've been going strong for 6 years. During COVID, we had them bi-weekly because people were going through such a difficult time, and we really wanted to help our patients through what they were going through. So for us, the support groups are very, very important. It has become a family. And we have patients, survivors, and caregivers that reach out to us from everywhere and in every method, so online, by phone, and we do very much peer-to-peer support, right from diagnosis, unfortunately sometimes through the end of life and beyond. And basically, we deal with everything. So prognosis, we talk about what it's like to go through the stomach cancer journey, what treatment might be like, what surgery might be like. We don't offer medical advice. This is from a lived experience. And so for us, that holistic type of support is very, very important. And we actually have members who have been with us, who are here today since the beginning, like Maria, and some of them who are watching virtually. So we welcome them, and we're so happy that they're here. And this slide you'll just see is the dates of our upcoming support groups, and these are done virtually through Zoom, and people can just go to our website and just log in, ask for any information, join us. It's free to join, and just our support groups are completely confidential and private, and we have talked in those groups about everything. We've cried together, we've laughed together, we've welcomed new people, we've said goodbye to those we've lost, and so it really is a family for us. Another thing we do in support, and this is something we're very, very, very proud of, and it's very heartfelt for us. So a couple of years ago, a small Facebook group was started by one of our patients, a very young patient named Abby, who you'll hear a lot about throughout this day. Her and another young woman, both in their mid-20s, were diagnosed with stage 4 and given a horrible prognosis. And so they connected through chatting on Instagram. And as they started that, it just kept growing and growing. And so they created a private Facebook group where it was directed more towards younger women who were going through this journey. And it just grew. And in under 2 years, so they started it November of 2020, if I'm not mistaken. That was what we call the OG 30. And I think Katy and I were part of that as well. Because we are very much a part of them, and they are very much a part of us. We always say, we hate to say this, but there's close to 400 women who are in this group from all over the world, and they're caregivers, they're survivors, and they're patients, and some of them are incredibly young, with young children facing a very difficult journey ahead of them, but these women are incredible. They're always there for each other. And I have to just say, unfortunately, we lost both Abigail and Lexi. So for us, this group is in their honor and in their memory. And My Gut Feeling supports them and sponsors their, so they meet twice a month. And so we sponsor that.
The second pillar of what we do is the education pillar. And one of our big events is what we do today. So this is the annual conference. So we've been doing it for 6 years. So this is the 6th annual Stomach Cancer Conference. And even during COVID, we were fortunate enough to bring topics that patients had requested and speakers that have been international to answer questions that patients may have about their cancer journey. So the whole theme of this conference, including the theme of today, is to bridge the gap between patients, survivors, caregivers, and healthcare providers. These are some images from the past, and as you can see in 2021, it went from this beautiful setting to kind of a more house setting. Those are my house orchids back in the background there in somebody's kitchen. So we've had it formal and informal, but we're so proud to be back in person in this beautiful Lenox Hall. We've also done smaller education series. So these are usually webinars, but we have done them in person. So these are more intimate sessions with experts. So for example, last year in the spring of 2022, we had Melissa Aronson, who will be part of our panel discussion today. And she spoke about hereditary stomach cancer syndromes. And the point of these smaller sessions is to really engage our patients. So here at this large conference, there's somebody at the podium, and although we try to facilitate the conversation, during these webinars, it's really you and the health expert. And we'll have more to come, and we'll be announcing those on our website as well. What's new this year is actually we've partnered with Elixir Kitchen, which is a wellness kitchen that's specific to patients that are undergoing cancer treatments. It's run out of Princess Margaret Hospital, which is a big cancer center here in Toronto. And this year, one of our board members, Denise, who's a dietitian, partnered with Jeremy, who's the wellness chef, to bring about our cooking book. So we also wrote a cooking book called Cooking with Joy and Digesting with Ease. And the point of this is to really get nutritious and delicious recipes for people that might be facing gastrectomies, chemotherapy, dumping, nausea, vomiting, dysphagia, whatever it is. This cookbook was designed for patients in mind with gastric cancer. We have a bunch of resources online, including the recipe book and other recipe booklets that we've done with Nourish for gastric, gastroesophageal, and esophageal junction patients. On our website, you'll also find other resources. So, for example, there's a booklet on questions to ask your healthcare team, because that first appointment might be quite overwhelming, and a lot of patients don't know what to ask. So this is kind of a guide to ask all the right questions that may be important for treatment going forward. On our website, you also see a link to ongoing clinical trials. That's the clinicaltrial.gov website, because that's something that a lot of our patients really want to hear about. And of course, patient journeys, right? So the whole reason that we do this is that nobody goes through this alone. So having those journeys, having someone to relate to, having that peer-to-peer support, that's key of what we do. Our third pillar is advocacy, and we advocate in several ways. So one of the ways that we've advocated is through research. So we've been fortunate to collaborate with international health professionals, researchers, scientists, and other patient groups. So here are some examples of the advocacy that we've done in 2022 and 2021 to 2022. So one of the ones that we're most proud of is the PCODER submission, so the Pan-Canadian Oncology Drug Review Program. We were the patient advocates on those. For the healthcare professionals in the crowd, we advocated for drugs part of the Checkmate 577, Checkmate 649, and the Keynote 62 medications to be approved through Health Canada. And this is key for our patients, because if we don't have access to these drugs, then we don't have options for our patients. Another way we've advocated is through partnering with Storming Cancer, which is a very large 3-year study, internationally looks at how inflammation can cause cancer, including stomach cancer. And of course, if we identify mechanisms of how cancer starts, then we can hopefully find ways to reverse those mechanisms. We've partnered through several organizations, including Princess Margaret and Sunnybrook Hospital, to change practice for healthcare professionals and better advocate for patients. And recently, we've partnered with the Canadian Cancer Society to be patient advocates on 5 research submissions on the breakthrough grants for low survival cancers. And then we're advocates, patient advocates on several teams, including the Hereditary Cancer Study of Canada. Through our work in advocacy, we've been invited to speak at several conferences. Actually, back in 2019, we were the first patient advocate group at the International Gastric Cancer Congress. And in March of 2022, we continued that tradition in Texas. We were speakers and members of the Patient Advocacy Symposium and Planning Committee in collaboration with the groups below. So as you know, we're the only stomach cancer foundation in Canada, but there are many, many groups out there, and we want to respect and partner with all of them. We've attended several conferences, including the American Society of Clinical Oncology, that's ASCO, European Society of Medical Oncology, that's ESMO, and we've partnered with the Canadian Cancer Survivor Network and provincially with other organizations such as Cancer Care Saskatchewan. And then more locally, we've done some work with the Canadian Gastric Cancer Association and the Canadian Society of Surgical Oncologists. And this is us speaking to some very big names in the field here locally in Toronto about what is patient advocacy and where does it fit in oncology care. And then a couple of weeks ago, we've branched up beyond the junction. So we spoke at the Upper GI Symposium in Montreal, right? So although we are the Stomach Cancer Foundation of Canada, a lot of the patients that find us might have gastroesophageal junction cancer or even esophageal junction cancer. So here at this annual symposium, we had the privilege of speaking to healthcare professionals that are mostly in the upper GI sphere.
The other pillar of our organization is awareness. This is one of my big things that I'm very, very proud of and happy to move forward. There is very little awareness about stomach cancer. People don't know that you can live without a stomach or that you can eat without a stomach. And so for us, that was part of what we wanted to do, is let people know that, hey, we're here, this is what we do. This year, our awareness has taken a couple of little different steps. So this past summer, I got a phone call from someone I had never met saying, hi, my name is Louis. I'm doing this little walk, and I want the little bit of funds that I might be getting to come to my gut feeling. And I was like, well, how did you learn about us? He said, I was looking, and I guess he was looking, or I don't know if a doctor had recommended us. And he said, could you give me just some artwork or whatever? And I said, absolutely, we'll be there to support you. So as this grew, I kept seeing all these donations. We kept seeing these donations come in, and I kept reaching out to Louis and saying, this is not that little. Really, it's not. Louis is an incredible person. He will be speaking very shortly, but his community little walk raised over $11,000. So for us, that was this incredible gift. And he kept saying, are you sure that that's what's coming in? Like, are you sure that that's not a mistake? I thought I was going to get like 2,500. I'm like, no. So it's amazing. And the reason he did it is he is a current patient. and it was for stomach cancer research, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Awareness is also, we kind of combine it with fundraising. So one of the things that we did a couple of years ago is we bought a stomach cancer star that's out there in the universe, and it's called the My Gut Feeling Stomach Cancer Star, because our thing is all about light and hope and just being there. And so for anyone that donates $100 towards this fund, the name of their loved one, whether they're doing it in honor of their loved one or whether it's someone that they've lost. We have a site, a page that is dedicated to the stomach cancer stars, and their name remains on that page for eternity. And our awareness as well, we like the media, actually. The media's been very good to us, and we have a very good PR team member who's fantastic. And in the past, we've had online media, we've had radio, we've had, I think a couple of years ago, we were on, was it ET This Morning or something? Yeah, one of the programs in the morning. This year, we took a little bit of a turn. We've had TTC campaigns for about 3 or 4 years. We didn't do it during the pandemic. But if any of you are in the TTC, there's 3 stations that have these huge 4 by 6 foot signs, and those are Osgood, King, and St. Andrew Station, but also in the transit cars, in the TTC cars throughout the system, both on like the north-south and the east-west, we have all our posters, and they're all about awareness, this conference, and they're supposed to be eye-catching. And a lot of people have, just taken a picture and tagged us. So that's what we've done with the TTC, and that will go till December 9th. We did a radio interview with Jim Richards on News Talk Tonight, CFRB, a couple of weeks ago. I was interviewed last week by Fairchild TV, which is a national Chinese language television station with an international viewership, and I believe that piece will be airing before November 30th. I was interviewed with CTV News, Pauline Chan, and really thrilled that they've played our clip about 4 or 5 times. So the viewership on that is, I think, probably now over 1 million. So it's all about awareness. And we have another interview with Omni TV, which is an Italian English TV station. And we'll be interviewed, and that will be happening, I think it goes on air this week. And we were even lucky enough to have Dr. Pietro Antonio be interviewed by them as well. And so Stomach Cancer Awareness Day is November 30th, and this is one of the things Katy and I are most proud of. We started this initiative 5 years ago, and we thought that we would try to light up landmarks in Canadian cities in periwinkle blue, which is the color for stomach cancer, and have people take pictures and do a social media campaign, and people repost and reshare, and so you see this like sea of periwinkle on our site and on other people's site. So first year we had about 6 sites across Canada. This year we're beyond thrilled. We have gone to 42 sites internationally, here in Canada, in the US, in the UK, and in Italy. And the big one is we got the Leaning Tower of Pisa to light up on November 30th. And we're also collaborating with an organization in Italy for the sites that are lighting up in Italy, and there are quite a few of them. Sorry. And the other awareness thing is our I Live Without a Stomach, which we've had for a number of years. It's a pin that we wanted our those patients that have gone through a gastrectomy to wear with pride and power, because it's a difficult, difficult journey, but we always want to have hope and we always want to be positive in the things that we can take positivity from. And so for a number of years, we only had it in English. But now this year, as we're growing, we decided that we wanted to have it available in Spanish, Italian, and of course, French, because we are bilingual. And that's available for all patients. They just have to reach out to us.